Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about, a very interesting build, a very in-depth, what I call 200 IQ build, because there is so many things that play together on this build, and this is something I'm working on since like 2 or 3 days, trying to make things happen and whatnot. We're talking about poison. So poison is something I generally don't like to play. Poison was my league starter. It was the Venom Gyre assassin, which turned out to be so freaking bad. And then I played some like Cobra Lash and stuff like that. But for poison, you need investment, okay? So I'd rather do 100,000 hit just flat instead of poisoning something and wait a second until the 100,000 damage is delivered. So, since we are like 1 month into the league and I have some currency, at least more than on a league start, I thought like I'm gonna give Poison another chance. And I thought about Pestilence Strike. So the typical Poison builds that are now in the league, like meta if you call them, are Blade Vortex Poison Assassin, for example, the crit version. You have a lot of Cobra Lash builds, and then you have those builds that are kinda off meta just because they are not comparable goods to the other two, which is Pestilence Strike, Viper Strike, then what else is Poison and is like non-meta, you know? But since there's a lot of Cobra Lash builds out there and also Blade Vortex, Poison Assassin and these kind of things, I thought about taking Pestilence Strike. So Pestilence Strike is comparable to Viper Strike, just it has a built-in area of effect clear. But I'm not talking, I don't want to talk about too much about the Pestilence Strike. I want to talk about the build mechanics that I want to build in this build and how everything comes together. It's still in progress. We're currently level 71. We leveled this one up yesterday on stream. So the live pool looks a little bit pity. I mean, obviously I'm naked. Oh, chimp. But yeah, so let's start with Poison itself, right? So there is a couple of content creators, especially Wolfio, that has a lot of poison builds, or at least tryouts. Like if you want to check out his channel, I gotta admit, some of his builds are genius, some of them are just, to throw away, basically. But what I like on his channel is so much that he just has an idea, he has an item, he has something, and he's like, let's just try it, you know? Most of his builds are completely off meta, and in one of his builds, he used a golden rule to poison himself. So this is a self-poisoning build in advance, right? So if we take a look what the golden rule is doing, bleeding you inflict is reflected to you, poison you inflict is reflected to you, up to a maximum of 100 poisons, right? So, usually you use the golden rule with the, the red trail to make Flicker Strike possible, right? So, what the red trail is doing is, when you are bleeding, right, you gain a frenzy charge on hit, okay? So this is how you could sustain Flicker Strike without wielding any frenzy charge generating like Aura Sacrifice or something like that enables you to get the frenzy charges. But if we take the other part of the golden rule, which is the self-poisoning, why would you self-poison yourself, right? So if you're gonna check the wiki, this is the easiest way to do. I was like, what items are there which affect poison, right? So we're not talking about poison damage, we're talking about what can you achieve when you poison yourself? And there is a lot of things here that all affect poison, you know. One of these are the Maw of Conquest, which says unaffected by poison. That means you're having poison, but you don't get damage from them. It's something different than you're immune to poison. If you're immune to poison, you cannot get poison on yourself. But if you're unaffected by poison, you get the poison stacks, but they're not doing damage. The Maw of the Conquest is one thing that we can add to our builds to make the self-poison thing actually viable, right? Because otherwise you're gonna attack something and you're gonna kill yourself just by the amount of poisons or poison damage you're doing. So, okay, means I can now poison myself through the golden rule if I have chance to poison what I have as a Pathfinder. Then I'm unaffected by poison, means that I'm not getting damage from it. The next thing is, great, I'm now poisoned. I don't get damage from poison, but why should I poison myself, right? And there is other items, like the Ice Fang Orbit. that says you are chilled while you're poisoned, which is bad. So we're gonna skip that for now. But other than that, there is other stuff like the Apex Supremacy. This is the faded version of the Apex Slumber, I think. And now we're gonna read. Basic chaos damage, which is good to our attacks and spells. So poison damage is scaled of physical and chaos damage, so that's good. We have some ES, okay. You take chaos damage instead of physical damage from bleeding. It's nice, but yeah. So, the next thing is 3 to all maximum resistance while poisoned. This is something I like. And poison you expire slower, which keeps the stacks up longer. The good thing about the Apex Supremacy here, that I got over here, is that it's 3 to all maximum resistance and not 3 to all maximum elemental resistance. So not only gives this item gives me all resistance to elements, but also on chaos. So, okay, next thing on the build. So we can now poison ourselves, we're unaffected by poison, and we're getting max resistance out of our shield. So, what else could we do with the Apex Supremacy? Since the golden rule is not only poison reflect, it's also 1% chaos resistance per poison on you. So we can have 100 poison stacks on ourselves, means I'm getting 100 chaos resistance. Which is kinda nice, since I'm also getting max chaos resistance. But what do I need chaos resistance for? Simple. If you're taking the Glorious Vanity with the Xibaqua thing, I don't care about the number and seed and whatever shit, you know. It's all about the Xibaqua on Glorious Vanity, which will transform one of our keystones here, and I choose that one because it's nearby, and I don't affect anything else with it, you know. So if I place it like over here, I would lose face aggro, and other stuff, but this is so far away, and the more spell damage while low life, I'm attack build poison, that doesn't bring me anything. But what this is doing, if I socket it into here, it turns this one into Divine Flesh, which says all damage taken bypass energy shield. Usually it works like that if you're having like here, I'm having energy shield and life, means all the damage that I'm getting, if it's physical, LE based and so on, will first get down my energy shield before it touches my life. The problem is chaos damage goes through energy shield. If you ever play the chaos build, you're gonna notice that the monsters will die although they have energy shield, right? So with the Divine Flash, it says all damage taken bypass energy shield. So my energy shield now is completely useless. But 50% of the elemental damage taken is chaos damage and 10 to maximum chaos resistance. Since 75 is the resistance cap on everything, right? You can hire this with, for example, the Divine Flash, that gives me 10 to maximum chaos resistance. So we are not having 75 max chaos resistance, we're having 85%. And with the Apex Slumber, we are having 88%, which is almost hard cap, because 90%, if you get all the maximum resistance going, 90 is the hard cap. And we're currently, with the Apex and the Divine Flash Keystone, we're getting to 88% maximum chaos resistance. And 50% of the ally damage is taking as chaos damage. That means that if I get a hit with 1000 lightning damage, for example, there is 88% flat reduction, or at least 50% of that lightning damage will be lightning damage and 50% will be chaos damage, but I'm having 88% maximum resistance. So in the greater good, it's still, as soon as I get ally damage, I'm getting less ally damage just because of the conversion into chaos resistance. Okay, next thing, all damage taken bypass energy shield, which is terrible, right? Because energy shield is now 100% useless, unless we're using the Devouring Diadem. So what the Devouring Diadem does is you get Eldritch Battery. That's the keystone over here. The Eldritch Battery makes your energy shield now save your mana instead of your life. The good thing here is, if we're gonna, let me quickly get this one here, the Fertile Mind, since we need a bunch of intelligence, here 159 to equip the shield. With this one, I'm converting my Dexterity and passives into intelligence so I can wear my items. So let me get this in now. We are now using the Devouring Diadem to get Eldritch Battery, so my mana is getting protected by the energy shield, which means that I can use this as a source of mana and while reserving everything here, right? So if we go back here, goddammit, I lost track. So now we can reserve 100% auras here. I'm doing this one with Flesh and Stone, Herald of Agony, Purity of Elements, and Malevolence. The reason for that is my Watcher's Eye Jewel. Since you're thinking now, wait a second, if we're using the Devouring Diadem, we are now affected by poison, so we kill ourselves. Unless you have the Watcher's Eye with the Malevolence mod that says unaffected by poison while affected by Malevolence. So as soon as I have this one, like this is the same stat as the Maw of Conquest gives me, right? Therefore, I can use this jewel here, and now I'm unaffected by poison, same as the Maw of Conquest, so I can put the Maw of Conquest away and use the Devouring Diadem. So now I can, let me enter the golden rule over here, so I have my 1 maximum mana reserved, and now if we're reserving the 25, 25, 35, and 50 aura, with the Devouring Diadem that has level of Socketed Gems, and Socketed Gems have reduced mana reservation, I'm landing to exactly 100% mana reservation, which is 20, 20, 28, and 32. There's a weird thing here because the 1% of the golden rule is enough. So now we're gonna check, we are 20, 20, 28, and 33, which ends up being 101. So if we have the golden rule, or at least any other jewel with 1% maximum mana reserve, at least 1% less mana reserved, we're not getting anything out of that. It's still 20, it's still 20, it's still 28, but the 33 is turning to 32, which is now exactly 100. So we're legit having 0 mana, which is fine since we have Eldritch Battery, so Energy Shield covers our mana instead, so we use this one as our mana source, since Energy Shield is useless for us anyways, through the Divine Flesh Keystone. So, the next part on this list is going to be, we are now poisoning ourselves. We are unaffected by poison. We have maximum chaos resistance, so as soon as we are poisoning enemies, we're getting up to 88% max, chaos resistance, right? Our ally damage is going to get to chaos resistance, so what else could we do with this one, right? So, now let's take a look again on the poison side of things. So as we said, there is a couple of things that are affected poison, like cannot be poisoned. This is, for example, that would not work this stat. But there is another thing that came into this league, which is the Ice Fang Orbit, which says you are chilled while you're poisoned, which is bad. So if we check PoE chilled, what is chill actually doing? So when we are chilled, we're getting, oh god, I think it's 30% something, right? Chills 2 seconds, blah blah blah, maximum life equal to 30% slow at 10%, blah 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 blah. So in the end, what it makes is you're getting slower, right? Because you're getting chilled means you have less attack speed, less movement speed, less action speed, like everything. You're just getting slowed, right? So if you're using this now, we're basically negating, and like we're making ourselves worse, unless we're using the Winter Weave, which now says the effect of chill on you is reversed. So, now we're poisoning ourselves, we get all the good things here, what I was talking about before with the max resistance and stuff. Now we are chilled, and now we reverse the chill, so as soon as we're poisoned, we're getting the reverse chill, which makes me 30% faster, more movement speed, more attack speed, more action speed in general, which means more attack speed is also nice here in this part, because more attack speed is more poisons applied to the enemy, right? So, what is the next thing that we can build in? For example, a Solstice Vigil. The Solstice Vigil gives you temporal chains have 100% mana reduced, so if you're just taking any kind, where is my, I think it's here. So, I have now 100% reduced temp chains, so we can run the temp chains with Empower and Blasphemy. So we're getting another aura for free, and what is temp chains doing is another layer of defense, because it slows the enemy, the action speed of the enemy, and also makes our poisons last longer, right? So if my poison lasts 1 second and the enemy is affected by temp chains, it will have now the poison duration will be like 1 point something seconds. So longer poison duration means a higher maximum damage output. And we're using here Plague Bearer as well. But I don't want to make this one a build guide. I just want to explain you guys what is going to into my mind, how I made things possible, or how I want to approach this build here, right? Next thing is, this is basically our basic setup. The next thing is, this is something I'm not sure yet, I need to do more research about that one, is the Master Toxicist. It says, poisons you inflict during any flask effect have 40% chance to deal 100% more damage. So if you are using, I think it's corroded fossils, you can get this stat on your weapon, which says 60% chance for poisons inflicted with this weapon deal up 100% more damage. Question is this additive? Makes 60% plus 40% is 100% chance for poison to deal 100% more damage? Or is it separated? let's say it's, I mean, if they're additive, like I just have a 100% chance for every poison to inflict 100% more damage, is super nice. So everything I do is just double damage, basically. If it's not working together, if these are two separate mods, so let's say I attack, I inflict a poison now, right? I have a 60% chance for this poison to deal 100% more damage. Let's say the 60% is active, so my poison is doing 100% more damage. And then it runs over this effect, which says poisons you inflict during Flask effect have 40% chance to deal 100% more damage. So we are dropping your hit with your attack, you do your poison. Now you do 100% more damage with poison since the weapon procced makes 200% damage from this poison, right? If now this is separated and you have the 40% chance to deal 100% more damage, you end up having 400% more damage for your poison. Because you already have this weapon proc, right? So it's questionable if those two stats work together. 40%, 60% is 100% chance, or if they're separated and you can get even more out of that one. Other than that, just basic chaos damage on this weapon, attack speed, something like that. And you also get the flat chaos damage from your Apex Supremacy here. The rest is basically just trying to get life and resistance, something like that, same as here. But since we are chilled, I just need I cannot be frozen on my boots, and I'll be fine in that part here. And here is just like chaos resistance, chaos resistance, chaos resistance. So this is the actual outcome of the build for now, okay? So let me check, or at least let me try to run like Blood Aqueduct for now. And this is just because I'm level 71. There is still a lot of rework to do in this character. There is no gems leveled up. I'm roughly having 3k life, if even. So we're gonna see how this build turns out to be. What other, like, I call it, what other ideas or things we can find to make this build even more of 200 IQ, right? So let's take a look at the Pestilence Strike itself. Let me check if I have everything on. Okay, good. So as you see, you are hitting something, and as soon as it dies, it makes like a shock over. And since we're the Pathfinder, our poison spreads same as the Beano's Kitchen Knife. So, and now you see I'm poisoning myself. I'm now chilled. The chilled effect is reversed. So if you pop everything, you're gonna see that we're going to be quite fast in the actual movement speed, and also have like a pretty insane clear speed. And then we also have our Plague Barrier. As soon as this one is active, you can basically, yeah, just run through everything and pop everything. So the question that I have is, will this build in the later stages of the game will be able to have enough damage with all the things built in here to cap out on resistance, for example? How much investment is needed, and can I actually do bosses like Uber Elder with it? Because map bosses or something shouldn't be a big deal at all. But the idea here is make a poison build that is going to be really, really fast in clearing, and also be capable of doing all content with a lot of fancy mechanics building in. And yeah, we're gonna see in the next couple of days how this build is going to perform in the later stages of the game. So guys, hope you enjoyed this kind of build, and I'm gonna say it is basically 200 IQ, because there is almost every single item has its own place, dealing some nice things. And one thing I want to mention still, the Ice Fang Orbit, since this is something you guys are gonna ask me quite frequently, and this is the Ice Fang Orbit and also the Spore Guard chest. So first of all, Spore Guard, it's about the Occultist passive. Basically, you kill something that is poison, it leaves a fungal ground, and then enemies will basically explode, right? I would say this is something more for an assassin, because assassins do not have any kind of proliferation or area clear, right? Since I'm a Pathfinder, I do have poison proliferation, so I don't really need an extra explosion if my poison spreads and kills anyways. This is kind of a wasted spot on this part. And the Ice Fang Orbit, as you guys read through it, poisoned enemies you kill with hits shatter. So you can actually run a Herald of Ice, what I did before, but I'm not doing anymore, because the thing is, poisoned enemies you kill with hits shatter, okay? How often, if you're playing a poison build where you do like 1000 damage and then your poison kills off this stuff because your poison is actually doing the damage, right? How often will it be that your hit with your attack weapon will actually kill an enemy, and if it happens, you have one single shatter, because the shatter effect will not apply on enemies that are just poisoned and dying for poison, right? And the playstyle here is, you run into a mob pack, you use your Pestilence Strike once, and then you can just move forward, because this one target will now die on the poison, now makes the shockwave coming from the Pestilence Strike, afflict everything else with poison, with the poison proliferation of the Pathfinder, so it's going to be a chain reaction anyway. So all you do, get in a pack, get one single attack off, move to the next one, and just, cool guys, don't look at explosions, right? Because everything will disappear in the back of your character. So yeah, guys, this is it for now. If you want to see the progress, twitch.tv/mbXtreme, and I'm probably, or at least like 100%, gonna bring an update when I'm like level 90 something to see how this build will perform in the end game of Path of Exile. So guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.